Hey guys, Tofu here. This is my first epicseven content that I'm making. I always knew that if I'm going to start making this epicseven content, that I would start off with my one-shot teams, showcasing them. And my one-shot teams, as you can tell by the title, are revolved around this guy, the Big Daddy Straze. I'll be using him as the primary one-shotter for all 5 of my hunts. And this video is meant for me to go a bit more in detail as to why I went with this team, why I decided to use these units. Um, but I'll also make chapters so that for those of you who already, have a good idea and you just want to know the stats, I'll, make chapters so you guys can just skim through it. But for those more beginners, or maybe you're just actually interested in just watching this throughout from 0 to 100, then yeah, I'm gonna go a bit more in details and go a bit more slowly, talking about each and every stat little by little. And I do have to say, I would like to recommend my teams to all you guys, just because there's a lot of units that I use in multiple hunts. So which means that you use less gear, so it's more efficient in terms of unit and gear. So I really do like the teams that I'm using at the moment, and I don't plan on making any changes except maybe my golem, just because my golem is probably like really bad, but like I don't really farm golem a lot anyways, so I'm leaving it as it is for now. Hey guys, before we get into my one-shot teams and showcasing them, I just want to talk a little bit about Fribbels right here. And this is Fribbels right now, and what Fribbels is an optimizing tool just specifically for epicseven, in which you can import your gear and your heroes, and then you can do a whole lot of stuff, and it'll calculate all the outcomes for you and create builds for you rather than you trying to rack your head, uh, rack your brain and everything and trying to do everything yourself. It takes into all the outcomes into um, into effect, including modification gems and everything. So it's a very useful tool. But I specifically want to talk about MCD right here. And what MCD is max crit damage rating. It measures damage at 100% crit chance. So in other words, it measures the damage that your character will do, assuming that character will crit. And this is extremely useful in my personal opinion, because all your DPS is in these one-shot teams, right? Like your even like your AoE DPS or things like that, you basically expect them to crit, or else you're losing a lot of damage, and therefore you might fail your run that way. So you're expecting all your DPSs to crit. Therefore, MCD is a consistent good value to base off your damage and your builds around. And I will be showing my units MCDs every time like I talk about that unit briefly after showcasing like a run of that hunt. And then when I talk about like units such as Watcher Schuri, Straze, Karin, whatever, just any sort of DPS, I will post and put the MCD there. So for sure that MCD at least works. So you should try to build your own unit, but it's like, oh, but it's not doing enough damage. But if I want to, I can take a look at um, Tofu's MCD, and then I can maybe build my, get my build based around that. I know for sure I built all of my DPS units based on Fribbels. It took me hours, but it was worth it. Um, but I optimized them to try and lower the MCD and gear score as much as possible, but still be enough so that it will either one shot the wave, or deal enough damage to one shot, one turn, whatever. And I understand that there are casual players out there that don't want to spend hours doing things like this. But this is, yeah, if you're into this type of thing, and you're the type of player who like is a bit more passionate, maybe a bit more serious about this game, then maybe you can spend the time optimizing with Fribbels. Let me show you my stats for Strays. 5k attack, 334 crit damage, as low as speed as possible. Triple S imprint, DDJ, obviously. Definitely the hardest to gear, but it's not impossible. And once you have this built, obviously, you have your primary one-shotter done, and you know that's the hardest thing to do, in my opinion. But yeah, 99% crit, which is kind of sad. But I find it where even if you have 99, 98, 97, although that couple percentage of RNG might screw you sometimes, I find it almost negligible because these teams are fast and successful enough where you would most likely, if not always, burn through all your leaves during a hump buff event. At least for me personally. So yeah, I don't really think I need to change this to 100. So this is my Wyvern team. You know, seems very generic, very standardized. It's Angelica, Karin, SSB, Straze. I do also recommend that you go this formation just because Angelica has a triple S attack buff, and then you want it on Karin because my SSB at least is strong enough to one-shot the wave, so I don't really need the attack imprint from Angelica. And then obviously I have her with the crit chance. So in Wyvern's case, there's no need for me to worry about that 1% less crit chance on Strays. And then later after the run, I'll be able to show you SSB's crit chance. But yeah, here we go. We start off the run.
I will lend you the power to take another's life.
So Angelica does her S3, gives the attack buff. SSB does the S3. It's not gonna kill anything. But then there's gonna be the counter from her S2. And then Reingar will finish all those three off. And your Karin should be the first one in the Wyvern. If your defense break doesn't pop, obviously the run will fail. So you definitely need a defense break. The dual attack. It doesn't matter if Strays goes first or SSB goes first. At least with my setup, it's still strong enough. So it'll kill it off right away. Let's start off with Angelica. Around 200 speed. I know there are teams or people that go lower than 200, but the reason why I have it 200, and I do recommend at least 200, is because I use Angelica and Caides also. So in order to speed tune, I do have to set her at around 200. No lower than 200 too. So yeah. And obviously you also need 200% FI resistance, effectiveness if you want, I guess. Just put the rest into effectiveness or whatever, I suppose. Definitely not hard to gear. It might be a bit harder for beginners, but as long as you go with like the effect resistance ring and maybe like an effect resist set and whatever, 200 is not like extremely difficult. If you're in like the mid game, I suppose. But I do recommend the super duper water gun shooter. If you don't have it, you can get it now through the Book of Memories. It is accessible to everybody now. Therefore, I really do recommend you get this for Angelica. Increases attack by 5%, effectiveness by 6%, at least at the level that I'm at, level 3. Which is why, in my case, my Karin and SSB technically only need 59% effectiveness, because the 6% doesn't show in the stats. But here's my Karin. 4,650 attack, 280 crit damage. Obviously, again, you can raise the crit damage, lower the attack, or vice versa. At 63% effectiveness, but again, there's a 6% effectiveness I get from Angelica's artifact. So with just everything total, you just need 65% at least. But yeah, as you can see, not extremely difficult to gear, in my personal opinion. I mean, I did kind of get lucky with, like, you know, the rolls in some of them, but, you know, knowing, as you can tell, I'm using level 75 gear, and this is, everybody can get it, because of that thing, that hunt thingy that you can do, if you're, like, new to the game now. Obviously, DDJ, you definitely need DDJ. And then I went with the third, inflict 2 bleeding effects on the enemy. Just cause, why not? I don't know if it matters, maybe. I forgot what the S2 was. Oh yeah. Yeah, just go with the third one, definitely. Yeah, I think going third with is the best. Obviously, you can do the molas for these two. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention with Straze, you should probably max mola S3 and S1. Unless your gear is strong enough where you don't need to. And same with Karin. If your gear is strong enough, then you don't really need to mola. Although I do have to say, probably better, just because it makes it easier. But here's my SSB. 4.4k attack, 303% crit damage, 94% crit chance, around 175 speed. Oh, I forgot to mention. Sorry. You probably want at least like 155 to 160 speed on Karin, just so it doesn't get outlapped by like Angelica when you go into the boss phase. But yeah, obviously you technically only need 70% crit chance for SSB if you have Karin at triple S imprint, but I use SSB in a different hunt, so realistically I would like 100% crit chance. But yeah, obviously you need 65% effectiveness. Reingar maxed out. If you have it any lower, it's gonna be hard to gear, and it'll be more RNG because the proc won't be at 100%. But yeah, it's a bit hard to gear her, not gonna lie. But I don't think it's as hard as Straze, so shouldn't be like, you know, completely impossible. Okay, so this is my Golem team. So it consists of Vivian, Vildred, Leo, and obviously Straze. For me, I have an imprint on my Vivian at A, so it definitely helps. But Leo, obviously, since it's a 4-star, realistically, you would like a SSS. Just so that if you don't have these imprints, it's definitely going to be harder to gear these characters a little bit more. It's going to be a little bit more of a struggle.
Forbidden spell.
So Vivian goes first with the S3.
Warrior never loses.
And then here's Vildred with his S3. So should do around half of their HP. And Vivian is more than strong enough to finish them off with the S2.
How dare you? I can do it.
So Leo lands both defense break and target.
Destiny.
And the Straze S3.
My sword.
And then Vivian finishes it off. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I actually got really lucky doing this on my first attempt. I don't know what success rate I have with this team, just because my Straze is actually too slow. So the speed RNG can screw it up where it can cleanse the golem. Therefore, that means if the golem gets cleansed by that tree monster, this guy, then your run is fucked. So yeah, I don't know what the success rate in this team is, but it's probably not really high, which is why I said how my golem isn't that good in the beginning. But I don't really farm this too much anyways, so like on the days I farm it, I can be a bit more patient about it, so it's fine. But yeah, here are my stats for Vivian. 3,300 attack, 287 crit damage, 100% crit chance, and 230 speed. And this might be a bit hard for people. And this is, yeah, definitely hard. But the reason why I have it at 230 speed is because of A13, aka Azimanak. Because you gotta be, I think, 228 speed or higher in order to be faster than the ads in the first wave. And now I'm using Time Matter. I'm pretty lucky because it's at plus 21. And you definitely want the second one. The health doesn't really matter too much. Obviously, you should have more health. It's better. Because there are chances in like 813 that you might, your Vivian might die and whatnot. But yeah, increases the caster's combat readiness by 50% when using mana amplification, which is important because when you S3 and then you get this CR boost, you'll be fast enough so that you can overlap and then use your S2 to finish off the first wave. But yeah, definitely, obviously you can make her stronger by raising the damage, lowering the attack, and then vice versa. Here's my Vildred. I have Portrait, 4,000 attack, 250 crit damage, 171 speed, 100% crit chance. And yeah, you need some tankiness. Same with like Vivian. Realistically, you kind of don't want to die. But I'm using an attack set. Definitely easy, pretty easy to gear. As you can tell, because I'm using, you know, level 75 gear. Didn't even reforge these boots. So like, it's not extremely hard to gear. Obviously, ideally, you will want these max mullet, but yeah. I'd recommend the third one because it increases crit damage for the caster for 2 turns after using Blade Ascent, which will help you with the boss because he does attack. Unless you go for like really high crit damage, then technically you don't want it because it caps at 350. Then I would recommend you go for this, the second one. And obviously this is better if it's 16% instead of 14 because the max is 16. But you know, I don't have the currency to make a better one. But yeah, that's my Vildred. And then here's my Leo, triple as imprint. 202 speed or 212 speed. And you need at least 65% effectiveness. The speed doesn't matter too much, but you would obviously want it to be, in my opinion, I think Vivian should go first over Leo. So, you should probably speed tune it in a way where it's slower than Vivian. Obviously, you want it to be faster than like your cleaver. So Vildred in this sense. So I think somewhere around like 210 is fine. Just because you know Vivian has to be fast. Faster than 228. Or 813. But yeah. You want this to be mullet to +4, so you can have 100% chance to do defense break. So it is an 85% success rate on the defense break. And then obviously, ideally, I would want this at 100% to reduce more RNG. But you know, I only have it at 15. But it is what it is. But yeah. Again, these are really crappy gear. I have high crit chance just because, and also some attack, just because kind of helps with Banshee. Okay, so this is my Banshee team. You can exclude the Charon. I have it for friendship farming. It is actually a 3-man team of Straze, Vivian, and Leo. And as you can see, all these 3 characters are being used in Golem also. And they're also going to be used in 813 also. Which is why I say, if you build Vivian, Leo, Straze, you basically have the core setup for 3 hunts. And then on top of that, if you just have SSB and Vildred Build, you basically have three teams pretty much set. But yeah. Let's run it.
Destruction.
Vivian uses S3. And then Leo uses his S3. Obviously his crit chance is high enough, so it always crits. And then one-shots those with the S2. Which is why I would prefer Leo to do some damage.
How about this?
So Leo didn't defense break here, but it doesn't really matter. Straze is more than strong enough to kill this off. And then boom. So again, the stats is the exact same for Golem, and it'll be the exact same for 813. The reason why, again, I have a high crit chance on Leo is because the guaranteed crit with some attack and whatever will deal a decent amount of damage to the first wave actually. So it will lower the gear requirements for your Vivian, but obviously you can make your Vivian stronger. I actually tune my Vivian and Fribbels. So with the stats that I show in my Vivian, you can't make it any weaker than the stats that I show you. If you do, like, very minimal. But I like to think this is like literally like basically the bare minimum damage stats that you need to kill off the ads with the setup that I have of the first wave for Golem, Banshee, and 813. So I don't think it can go any weaker than this. And obviously the Leo imprint helps. And if you're gonna do friendship farm, obviously, you gotta make sure that your Charon does not or like not Charon, sorry, but like just anybody here that you're friendship farming, make sure they're not geared, obviously, and make sure they don't do enough damage. I do have to say, even if Leo does defense break plus target, it shouldn't matter with the setup that I have. It shouldn't be strong enough where it breaks the phase. So you gotta tune your character's damage too in a way where you make sure it's not strong enough where it goes past 75% HP. Or was it 80%? It was either one or the other. But obviously I have it tuned perfectly. So which is why I try making Vivian the weakest as I can, where it's strong enough to kill off the first wave, but obviously weak enough so it doesn't go past a certain health threshold for the Banshee. Because Straze is strong enough to kill it off, whether it's at 80% health, 75, 85, 90, whatever. As long as it has target, you should be able to kill it. I don't know if it can kill without target. I don't remember. It might not. But either way, yeah. So here's my 813 team. And, you know, as you can see, like I said earlier, you're using the same units again. So there's Vivian, there's Leo, Straze, and the SSB from the Wyvern. I didn't change anything, as you can tell. It's still the exact same stats for all of these characters. I didn't modify anything at all. Although I did say I do need this at 100%. But yeah. So Vivian S3 gives the attack buff.
Warrior never loses.
Leo S3.
I thought this could be fun. Now I'm getting bored.
SSB S3s.
I won't go easy on you. How dare you?
So I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed that Vivian and SSB are strong enough to just kill them off regardless of whatever happens.
All is done.
So Vivian should S2 here. Get rid of the ads. Reset. And there's a target too. Doesn't matter if Vivian dies. Straze is more than strong enough to kill this off.
Rest for all.
And again, the stats are the exact same. I didn't make any modifications at all. I don't know what the success rate for this team is, honestly, just because there are a decent amount of factors coming into play. For example, SSB might not crit, but again, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter for the boss wave. I do know for sure that the first wave, you can kill them off regardless. I was saying this earlier, if they're not tanky enough, they will die, but I don't think that really matters either, as long as you land the target. So, which is why I have SSB, because her S1 has another chance to target, right? So it gives you more of a chance to actually target the boss, because Leo's target, Song of Stars, is only 75% at plus 15, which is what I have at the moment. So with the 50% coming into play, it's like 60-something% chance or something. I think, was it 50-something% chance? I can't really remember. There's like a calculator for that online or whatever. But anyways, so yeah. So if Leo's target fails, there's still like a backup where SSB has a chance to land the target too. I mean, obviously there will be cases where both of them won't land targets, which in that case, you're probably not going to kill it. But, you know, this is why I use SSB instead of someone else like Vildred. So you could actually use Vildred. I used Vildred in the past, but I switched to SSB just so the target and everything. I just felt at the time it's like, you know what? I think it's a better idea. And yeah, it works perfectly fine. Okay, so this is my Caides team. And it's going to be Angelica, Straze, Watcher Schuri, and then Elphelt. As you can tell, Angelica has the exact same stats that I had on her for Wyvern. Again, since it's the SSS imprint, I do highly recommend that you have Straze and Watcher Schuri here. Just so it's easier to gear them, and they do enough damage to kill it off. And that Elphelt, obviously most of you guys won't have this 1B imprint from Elphelt, but if you do, obviously it'll lower the gear requirements as well. And then you do need the speed imprint from Watcher Schuri, just because Caides is actually quite fast. But yeah, this is definitely something like 80-something%, I think, success rate.
Sometimes darkness.
So Angelica S3s,
Your light.
I won't miss.
and the Watcher Schuri just does S3, should one-shot it. And then Elphelt S3, and lands the defense break plus target, and then she does the S2. Here's the Straze dual attack,
There is no
and then the S3.
your fate. Disappear.
Let's aim
And the Watcher Schuri, S2. And then boom. So Angelica, again, same stats as before. So it works for both Wyvern and Caides perfectly fine, which is why I wanted to add 200 speed, like I said earlier in the beginning of the video. And then here's Watcher Schuri. Definitely, not gonna lie, pretty hard to gear. I'm using Destruction Set, 350% crit damage, 100% crit chance, around 3300 attack. Obviously, you can raise the attack, lower the crit damage, whatever, as long as your MCD is close to what I have, is more than good enough. And you also need 189 speed. This is, I think, I don't know if it's the minimum. You probably can do like 188, 187, but I think 189 is a speed where you can't get lapped, or like you won't get speed RNG'd, so that the Caides goes before Watcher Schuri, because if they do, then obviously he heals a little bit, and then your Watcher Schuri will not be strong enough to kill it. Although even if it happens, I think from my past experience, I'm pretty sure I can still kill it off. But I don't know about you guys. So, you know, just to be sure, you know, have it around like 189, 190. Obviously, you can have Watcher Schuri be faster than that. As long as your Angelica's faster, you got to make sure that your Angelica is has a high enough speed where it won't get speed RNG, so that Watcher Schuri goes first in the first wave. So obviously, that 5% is very important. Again, there's DDJ, and then speed 10. Obviously to lower gear requirements. It doesn't matter what you have for here, as long as you have 10 speed. It should work. Now here's Elphelt. I do think you do need a Mola these for sure. Because her damage multiplier isn't that good, I don't think, right? So you need every single piece of damage that you can get. It's at 3,460 attack, 270 crit damage. You absolutely need at least 65% effectiveness. The reason why I have it at 59 is because the super duper water gun shooter thingy gives me 6% effectiveness, so is that exactly 65%. You need it to be at around 160 so that Elphelt is able to go first in the second wave. It's not extremely easy to gear, I do have to admit, but it's not like extremely hard to. Actually, is this hard to gear? I don't know, guys. I find it decently easy actually, but you can tell, like, I didn't reforge these at all. I'm using level 75 boots and whatnot too, so it's like, I don't think really is the most difficult thing to do. Obviously you need Song of Stars for a target. Your defense break absolutely needs to land on the S3, because even if you don't land target here, you still have another chance with this, right? The reason why you absolutely need to land the defense break on S3 is because Caides will not fall asleep. Therefore, if your defense break doesn't work here, your S2 won't work for a defense break, because they need to be asleep. But since Caides won't fall asleep, defense break in here is it doesn't come into play. So as long as you land the defense break first in S3 and then land the target in S2, it should still be more than good enough to kill off Caides. Although I do have to say Caides will probably take a turn, but at least with my team, is still tanky enough, they won't die. So even if it's going through one cycle, it should still kill it off. they very rarely die out and fail to run. So yeah, as long as you land the defense break in S3, you're good. So yeah, these are all my 5 teams that I've showed you guys. Sorry for the really long video. It became longer than I expected. I just really wanted to take things a bit slower and talk about each unit that I have and like why I had this team set up and stuff. I'm pretty sure I missed out on explaining some things in detail and maybe missed out on a couple things to talk about. But if you guys have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments or, yeah, join my Discord and then ask me and whatever and do all that stuff. Just like I said earlier, I absolutely do recommend that you go with my teams just because the teams that I have set up, a lot of units are being used in multiple hunts. So I really do think that my teams are quite unit efficient as well as gear efficient. So there's that. I actually spent a lot of time in Fribbels to like just optimize a lot of these units like Elphelt, SSB, Karin, Watcher Schuri, like spent like hours trying to optimize them so that the speed is right and everything, but like more so like damage while try to lower the gear score as much as possible. Just so it's easier to build and I save a lot of like the more good gear for my PvP units. I do understand that not everybody has all these units like Angelica, Elphelt. There are a lot of other teams. For example, if you don't have Angelica, you can use Ian for Wyvern. If you don't have Elphelt, then or like even Straze for that matter, there's like for Caides, you can use like Sermia and Sigrid as like a combo or whatever, and then like Sigrid can also be used as Wyvern 13, obviously. But there's like a lot of these various different combinations. But in my personal opinion, none of them compares to the team that I have, just because this is a lot more unit efficient, and gear efficient. I know I keep saying that, but it really is true because a lot of units are being used multiple times. So yeah. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or join my Discord and ask me. That's about it. So thank you guys so much for watching this long ass video. And I'll see you again next time. Peace.